we've had two very friendly planes in the last couple of games. They've given great map coverage, they've given lots of options for spawns. I'm waiting to see, in honesty, a particularly nasty one that perhaps like flies straight through the gulf between the military base island and the mainland and forces a lot of players to start the game in fistfights.
Actually, I would like to see that first circle somewhere in the south.
Yeah, we've had two very northern games too, which while the Finnish circles in those northern games have provided some intense engagements and some very interesting terrain, yeah, something down in the south, something on the coast perhaps, or on the island would be nice, because, I mean, I know it's North America, but Lyric's already tweeted out earlier on today that he really wants to employ his bridge hold strategy in the Invitational later today. So I know there are some European players that are also big fans of it, so we'll see if one of them gets a chance.
Risky in the tournament.
Yeah, it is. There is another southern, well, actually not southern really, it's straight through the middle of the map actually, this plane, which once again results in a lot of players. Look, we've gone straight over the bunkers and the crater location, but because everyone's so hell-bent on going away from the plane, they're completely untouched and exposed. So lots of options still to go with in the middle of the map. But there are two teams coming down here now towards Lipovka. Deadly Slob and Minder on towards the southern edge of the town, Natu and Andy Pyro towards the northern edge. There's a lot of weapons up for grabs in these buildings. This is a good strong loot spawn location. There's a buggy down on the northern edge for whoever wins and needs to make their way to the circle. But the question is, who's it going to be? Minder's got himself a pump action shotgun while Deadly Slob's on to grenades. But Andy Pyro and Natu have no weapons whatsoever yet. Meanwhile, the rest of our players, while some are still parachuting down, Hayes and Utoric actually heading towards the island with Sada and Katie. Break and Sack once again in a car, driving off towards the northern edge, but being chased by Nagotti and teammate up towards the top tips. So, Hotted or taking a bit of damage, already running up that way too. Cat and Sai driving up the edge. Circle looking a little bit more southern this time. Scoob and Jamjar though, they're in loot heaven right now. They've got the hospital, they've got all of Gorgepal, they've got the crates. It's all still inside the first circle. No other players anywhere nearby. And they can spend all day getting themselves very well geared up there. Tommy bringing Studdy down on a little boat cruise towards the southern island. Going towards these containers on Novo here. Another loot location which has lots of possibilities and lots of loot, but it takes a long time to get through it all, jumping through and checking each individual container. And while, yes, the circle is a little bit more southern this time, they're not in it right here, so they're still going to have to time their looting well, as they only have about 4 minutes before they have to make their move. Meanwhile, we do have some players already losing health down on this southern coast. It is K3. He is there with Running Man, the pair of them lacking weapons and running. I do believe they landed with 3T-Butts and Outsider and realised they were losing that fight as 3T-Butts and Outsider picked up pistols, and now they're running down towards Primorsk to try and grab themselves some weapons on the way. But they are going to come across a bunch of other players if they get that far who have already been down there and have been looting for quite a while. Meanwhile, on the top edge of the map, Severny, Break and Sacrilla just arriving with Sysin and Cat already there. Cat has himself a Scarrel. He sees Break and Sack out with a Dacier. He's taking a lot of damage onto them, and the shotgun from Sysin is helping scare them off too. A pair of them down to half health immediately have to turn tail and run straight back towards Nagotti and his teammate at that 4 houses. While Running Man Z and K3 have managed to get themselves some loot. So Break and Sack are stuck between two pairs right now who have both begun looting already and don't have a lot of options themselves. Onuctive taken very, very low here as the fight for Primorsk begins. Ninard is very, very low, but Onuctive has an AK. Ninard turns to try and run to K-Dop's car, but will get it downed. JZRU has a shotgun, but at that range he can still do a lot of damage. Ninard calls it and says get out of here, and K-Dop will grab that car and drive off without him. He's not going fast enough. Oh, he wasn't going fast enough to get through the barrier. He couldn't break the fence, and as a result, it landed an easy headshot for Onuctive.
Was this the last shot in the bag of AK?
It may have been. I wasn't paying attention to the ammo. Yeah, it could have been the last shot. That's a painful way to go. The military base this time is looking a lot busier. Hayes and Utoric still haven't really had a chance to properly loot. Sada Plays and Katie Rue are down here with their team. Cake A little bit spread from Pierre, his teammate, but is currently looting inside the military barracks safely with his shotgun. Is KT holding a crossbow? Was that a crossbow for a second?
Yeah.
Oh, I think she dropped it for the M4 because it's not on her back, but she was holding a crossbow momentarily. So, now that players are starting to spread, Running Man, Z and K3 inside this town have Hamath close by. Now Hamath's teammate Jari was way over towards the east of here in a completely different compound of buildings. Now she had a Kar 98, but that's still not going to make shots land in this kind of range. So Hamath now got to be careful he doesn't get himself pinched between these two, especially as Running Man is now holding a shotgun, which in these close in quarters can devastate players which don't have armor setups just yet. In the distance, 3T Butts and Outsider are actually driving over towards the military island themselves now with a car. Break and Sacred have started looting on the northern edge, but it's not a lot of options and not a lot of buildings to choose from. Meanwhile, Skoom, I think he's just on top of Jamjar. Both of them, they're still looting fun. Rozhok has got Serenity and Oshi7 in it for Emily there. I Need Ferrets and teammate hiding in Venice. While Tio's game has already got himself an M249. Tio and Paddy have been on point with the early crates so far. They had an AWM very early in the last game. They've now got another M249 and they're heading straight towards Yasnaya to try and fight out in here. Hot and Nedberg were close by and on one edge, but we'll just let them drive on past. Septic Falcon inside the town will have heard it, but they've turned to flank back now and are driving towards Edberg, who has no armor but does have a silenced AK. Here's the car come past, looks for the shots, he's going to take it, first to flick for it, he's doing a lot of damage to Tio. Can't knock him out though, and they will continue their drive for a little bit longer. But a great long-range shot from Hotted while Edberg reloads has taken Tio down. Tio is driving, which means Paddy is immediately stopped and has to get out behind the hay bale to try and get cover. He is very safe here, but can Tio get to him and get revived in time? Because Tio is the one with the M249. He's got the firepower here. So as these shots will start to rattle, Septic Falcon, Gibson Pieces and Raymond and Jessipia will have heard all of this and start to be cautiously aware of their flanks to the east. So they need to think about their movements in this direction. Hotted, I think, yeah, he picked up a Kar 98. Edberg picked up a Kar 98 inside that hut in that police tower they just looted. So that just made Tio and Paddy's position out here in the field even more precarious. But with still no armor or headgear, still gotta stay hidden here, Edberg. You can see them moving around. They're trying to get back into the car. He does look for a shot of a distance. He does miss the first one. Goes for a second and third, but can't quite make them count. And Tio and Paddy do somehow manage to get out of that situation alive. In tatters, but alive. Meanwhile, down on the military base, Sada Plays has fallen, so KT Roo is now without a teammate. Outsider and 3T Butts managed to drive over here and get off and out safely to get their pistols upgraded into assault rifles, while Pasiphae and Kailank have decided it's time to leave the base location and head towards the circle itself. KT still healing up a little way, is now skirting through the containers here. Outsider looks to be holding a position, watching her movements. Sees her skirt across to this side and will now position himself around to find her and cut her off some more. She's actually choosing to go away from this engagement. A smarter play, I think, in the long run, trying to stay alive for as long as possible. Just keeping these silos as cover and making some distance between her and her opponent. Tio, now that he's back on his feet, has found Zeon and manages to pick up the kill while Zeo finishes off Mithrain. So somehow Mithrain dies to Zeo and then Tio kills Paddy. And that's a 3-team engagement in which Tio and Paddy come out on top with a quick revive from Paddy, and somehow 2 jeeps end up next to each other. So down in Lepovka, we had our 4 teams drop in. Andy Pyro's still down there with Natu, and Minder is driving off in a jeep that seems to have once again not ended up engaging each other. The blue is making its way forward now then. Fred and Emily running through the open and through a red zone, dodging the last couple of explosions out of this past Venice, heading down towards the circle. And it's a smart move to do it when they're in Rozhok, heading to a southern circle. This is a big open area to get across, and these hills are very easily targetable from a distance. So going early and getting up and over here and into the hillside around Pachinki before the rest of the game starts to close in, it's a smart decision. Meanwhile, though, Hybrid Panda and Ferrets are still looting Venice. They have been there for the entirety of the game, and we do have teams in Pachinki this time. Lost Aiming and Machine TV are there. Meanwhile, though, Moondai and Mahipawanga are starting to make their way towards Severny, where Sai Syndicate and Cat have been hiding for the entirety of the game after scaring off Break and Sacriel, so they've got a lot of loot to play with. But Moondai and friends skirt around the top of the map and keep distance between themselves and the town to stay safe. Once again, Break and Sacriel in the blue, burning through their health bar, but they really need it this game more than ever because they did have a terrible start and have had very, very limited loot options to search through on this edge of the map. So they are now making their way through that, and in Adacia will start to head themselves back towards the circle. Level 1 helmets on them each, shotguns, like barely level 1 backpacks. There is a scar on Sakura rather, but I can't imagine there's a whole lot else. Skooma Jamja, on the other hand, at the complete opposite end of the spectrum, still looting their way through Goldpole, have all the time in the world to continue doing it, and are going to be very well geared. Tio's game now still has that M249 and is in a road race with another team that I didn't quite catch. I think it's the Forsen combo here on the edge of the map. Yeah, there we go, darting through the hay bales, darting through these fields. Tio holding his scar in hands this time as Forsen and friends will begin to close in, and here we go. Nanny Panny's going to go for these shots out the window. In the Jeep, Tio and Paddy are actually staying very straight and smooth, which is going to help make it easy for Nanny. Forsen right there will actually make it harder for himself. Tio's got the weapons out the window now, firing back, but straight into a tree. And well, Forsen's going to use that as a chance to stop and jump out, and does land some damage because they've stopped themselves. So they are now both out and stuck behind very limited cover. Tio and Paddy actually going to try and continue driving and running off until they realize that is not going to work and quickly have to stop and heal up. Paddy very, very low, and Tio gets taken down quickly behind him with a good shot from Nanny Panny. Now Forsen's going to get around one side and flank as Nanny Panny heads the other way, and Paddy's quickly sandwiched between the pair of them, and it's an easy shot for Nanny to finish Paddy off, and Forsen gets credit for the Tio kill. So that road race, ultimately, despite hitting a tree, working out very nicely for Forsen and Nanny. So, first circle hits it in. Where are we going next? Well, inwards, that's for sure. Edberg and Hotted finally leaving Yaznaya Polinia now, heading towards the next stage of the circle, because they are technically outside of it on one of those oh-so-fun motorcycles. So far, we've seen 2 motorcycles be used, and everyone's on the driver's seat and then behind them on the bike. No one in the sidecar yet. Doesn't make any kind of difference in maneuverability or anything, does it?
No, it doesn't affect handling.
So there's that.
I think it's just
it's
less chance of being hit, right?
I mean,
players.
There's some less chance of being hit. There's also just using your teammate as cover.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I suppose there's some of that. Meanwhile, Venice is getting a little bit busy. Minder and Deadly Slov have driven over here from Lipovka, and well, there's not going to be a lot of loot for them to find because Ferrets and Hybrid Panda have been here the entire game, emptying the place out. And I do believe, looking at the way Hybrid Panda and Ferrets are sitting, they've seen Deadly Slov and Minder in this other building, so they are watching for an opportunity to make this count. As it is, though, they are, I think, inside this next circle too, so they can take their time getting this done. Meanwhile, Fred and Emily, Oshi7 and Serenity made it across the big open field and now in another red zone, but on the other side of that open area, holding firm. Forsen Lol Nanny healed up and driving through again, closer towards the western edge of the new circle, as Break and Sacriel are actually unknowingly driving closely behind them, very close to Jespire and Raymond, who are here on foot. They have opened themselves up to a shot here. Raymond is going to take a couple of them. They weren't sure about it, but they are now starting to take fire. None of them landing this time, and Break and Sack get up and over the hill to safety. But given their lack of loot right now, they may want to stop and take this fight in a moment. Minder and Deadly still not given up on the fact there might be loot in this area and are continuing to search more and more buildings, but Hybrid and Ferrets just waiting for the perfect opportunity to spring a trap on them. You can see those yellow icons as X-rayed players, still very much split on the opposite ends of the town. Another drop has fallen down. You can see it there in the distance over to the south. No Forsen or no Tio's game over there to get it this time. Katie Rue has made it off the island despite, of course, not having a teammate anymore. She drives across the bridge, and despite two teams being on this far side, Stoddy, Tomic, K3 and Running Man's, neither of them do anything to really stop her driving through because they're a little bit bothered with each other right now. Or should be. K3 doesn't seem to have a good bearing on where Tommy and Stoddy are. He is prone out on the wrong side of that cover, and Stoddy is sitting there with a Car 98. Stoddy, those of you that don't know his channel, those of you that don't know his play style, is known for some superior sniping skills in other first-person shooters and in other games, and has already shown some skill with the Car 98 here. So exposing yourself to him with that weapon in his hand is not a smart play. Meanwhile, Jessipaya elsewhere did knock out Break. Now, Break is still alive because he was saved by Andy, Pyro and Natu coming in and taking out the combination of Jessipaya and teammate, but it does mean he's got to get revived by Sakura. Now, Hayes and Utoric have come off the island. They're pushing towards that house that has Tommy Rage in it, and they don't know about it. Utoric running out of the ground level with an Uzi in hand, finds that here's the shots coming out as Tommy Rage has knocked out his teammate. Tommy gets inside the shed, but Utoric is taken very low, trying to run from Tommy's teammate Stoddy, covering him from the far side of the hill. And there it is. Stoddy shuts Utoric down and out, and that's Hayes and Utoric gone and out of the picture in a very short space of time, while Tommy heals himself up inside that shed. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Katie Rue was picked off, and that means that entire team is dead and gone. But the shots going off here will mean Running Man and K3 now have knowledge of Stoddy and Tommy Rage's general direction. They are still in the circle here on this edge, so they can continue to play this building and hillside in conjunction for a little bit longer, but they are looking to try and find those other pairing. A lot more Car 98 seem to have appeared in this game than in the previous one, and as a result we've seen some good long range kills, but that one was done with a Scar L. Kai Lang picking off Rainbow Fox across the road and on the top of the hillside. Rainbow Fox's teammate Any Noob was dead before that already, so that's a team gone. Down to 47. We are seeing the aggression open up here from teams now. The later into these games we've gone. The first one took a long time for people to die, and now that people are getting more confident and feeling themselves out, people are getting these kills much earlier. Hybrid Panda and Ferrets then, the patience game paying off for them as they are still inside that same house as Deadly Slob and Minder get closer and closer. They have looted every building around them. They're looting now the building next door. Are they going to choose to come into that final one? There's a shotgun in Ferret's hands waiting. Minder chooses not to. He doesn't go too close, and now Panda's starting to fire. He tags Minder, and suddenly the position is known. But without getting a kill, Panda and Ferrets are now pinned. And Deadly Slob and Minder actually have the slightly better positioning here. They have more spread out. They have better coverage of the entire building. And the Hybrid Panda and Ferrets hadn't picked the right time to spring their trap. So Minder is healing up. Sakura has been knocked out by Andy Pyro, but Break knocked out Andy Pyro, so that fight is going off in a 1v1 on the edge of the circle. Break very low, Natu even lower. The pair of them right on the edge of the blue. They have 2 minutes 20 to play this through. Natu is getting a heal off, and at that same opportunity, Break is probably doing the same. Meanwhile, both of their teammates are downed but close. However, Natu's is close outside of the circle. He's going to take a Break out to try and go for the heal. Break doesn't have any healing. He's not getting his health back. Natu going for it. He's making a break towards the tree. Gets tagged up heavily, but does make it there. He is going to start healing and reviving Andy. Break going to use this as an opportunity to get Sakura up as well, but Natu and Andy have to get straight out of the blue again as soon as they finish this revive. While the damage isn't particularly high, Andy gets straight down immediately again, and having a second down means they have even less time to play with. Break and Sak though, no medkits to play with, aren't able to heal themselves up much further and are both stuck behind the same rock at the moment. The heals coming through, Andy back up to a high health, has a Car 98 in tow, but only one round in the chamber at the moment. Natu is sticking to bandages and energy drinks. Minute 20 to go. Honestly, I know Break and Sak want the loot. They're hanging around because they need to kill these two and loot them, but I feel like they should be moving closer to the next circle right now, because even if they kill these two with less than a minute to go, they may be dooming themselves to a fate of electrical death anyway. See, flashbangs going off on top of themselves. Natu and Andy getting themselves blinded up. Do try and use the smoke for cover, but quickly get out. And now the shots are coming in. Sak is starting to run further up the hill, but Break is looking for an opportunity. And now he's decided it's time to run, as Andy is finally in a position to actually start firing on him. Andy's decided to stop and bandage up, but his teammate has made it inside the circle and is now the one covering the push instead. Break still stuck behind that rock now as Natu starts to fire on him. Sak, though, has come up and over the top of the hillside. Hopefully he has an angle on Andy or Natu to try and help Break out of that sticky situation. Break actually had to duck into the circle for a second there to get himself some cover. Now, Natu has been down by Sak peeking over the edge of the hill. Andy has decided he's not going to be able to go for him right now because Sak has that angle, and with 15 seconds to go, all of these players may fall down to the blue. They have split up a long way. It does look like Andy has decided and Natu has decided that it's time to just leave Natu for dead and move to the next circle. They all realize they have a long way to go and they've got to go up and over hills to make it happen. Meanwhile, Daisy RU and Onuktiv are in a fight with Kailank and Pasiphae. Now, they've just finished a revive and are beginning to heal behind the tree, but Kailank and Pasiphae are already moving on to elsewhere, leaving both of these two players to themselves. They are incredibly low and maybe not even holding enough health themselves because they are not, there we go, they just finished heals at identical times and will now make their way towards the next circle. A lot of players hiding inside this one already because it's finishing up close to the center of Pajinki. Noisy Bone and Guti in that police tower, but they've left their jeep right next to it, so it's a very obvious sign to Jamjar and Skoom here that there's probably some players inside that building. You can see Jamjar is already watching in that direction, keeping an eye on the windows. He's got an 8-time scope to look for it, hiding on in there. Skoom's watching the other way towards the town. There's two other duos inside that town as well, waiting for an opportunity to spring out. Skoom's actually walking straight up to a building very close to Suntouch and Youngbei here now. One across down the road. Number 1 Pachinki Lane, Youngbei and Suntouch in number 2 Pachinki Lane. But I don't know if they're looking out the right windows here to see Skoom and Jamjar moving around on this angle. They've got good cover from the open fields, but they aren't particularly well covered from behind. Youngbei does have a small angle out, but he is tucked deep inside. So, 4 teams tucked in around here. Stoddy falls down to Kailank elsewhere. Outsider knocked out Edberg and then finishes off Hotted as well to get the double kill and take out that entire team. Down to 36 alive now. And remember, this is our 3rd and final game here for EU, as we will then move towards North America in a short while's time. Jamjar and Skoom closing in on this building, cleaning their way through. Peeking up on the staircase, Jamjar leaps up and immediately finds a shotgun waiting for him, but is blocked on his way back down the stairs by Skoom. Sometimes does get the knockout, but isn't ready to push down the stairs and chase it. So he's waiting for an opportunity. Here they go through. Skoom has to come outside the building as a grenade gets thrown down the stairs, and that's going to take Jamjar very low. Down the stairs comes Suntouch with his shotgun in hand. Skoom does get outside the building though. He has to give up his teammate. He has to fall back and leave Jamjar to die. There's a little bit of health still left on Jamjar before he bleeds out, but the time that Skoom needs to get back in and get that working is just not there. There it is. Suntouch finally kills Jamjar. And while he is very low himself, he's still got Youngbei there to back him up. And he had a medkit, so he's straight back up to full health now. Minder and Deadly Slob will have heard those shots and know now that they are no longer alone in this town. As Tommy Rage is running through an open field, trying to hide from, I believe, Kailank, who, well, doesn't let him last much longer. Does land a good shot to finish him off in that open field. He also has Pasiphae there with the Kar 98 in case that wasn't going to be enough. But Ponyhoff's waiting at the top of the hillside for them. He'll have heard those shots. He's hiding in the little woodcutters' shacks and maybe ready to receive them. He's also going to have noticed, I'm sure they have too, this crate dropping right on top of them. The question is anyone going to go for it? A lot of people have been scared of them to this moment. Onuktiv and Daisy RU over the other far side of the hill. Kailank and Pasiphae don't seem to be confident the field behind them is clear. They're waiting and making sure there's no one else coming in that direction before they move too far up the hillside. Yeah, just using that kind of, using the scopes they have to watch behind them, make sure that entire field, make sure the blue is completely empty and they don't get stabbed in the back. It's a smart play when you're in the white this early, when you've got enough time to worry about it. But Kailank has spotted something. I believe it was Ponyhoff on the top of the hill. No, he's firing towards the west somewhere. If he was firing all the way over towards Jari and Haymoth, that's a long shot. Either way, it was an optimistic one. Yeah, it's definitely not Ponyhoff. They're ignoring the top of the hillside. He's firing over towards Haymoth, Jari, and None the Ghost over here inside the blue. So Jari gets knocked out from a distance. Haymoth is right on the edge of the blue and is just trying to run as fast as he can, but he's got Makundra and None the Ghost waiting for him at the top of this hillside. He does get behind one tree. Switch around for Makundra, and it's a good kill with that 2x scope. Now on his right-hand side. Stop to finish off the kill. That could be a 1080i. None the Ghost, though, is right over the top of the Defilade. Peeks on up with not a lot of health to play with, and that's the expected result in that engagement. None the Ghost loses his teammate, but does get a double kill and stays inside the circle. Down to 23 now, as a lot of people are picking each other up. Break and Sakura somehow are still alive, despite the worst start I've seen ever on the top north side of Pochinki. 3T Butts doesn't have a teammate anymore, as Andy Pyro has finished off outsider, and he is outside the blue himself. He's going to come in and be very close to None the Ghost. Not sure if he's aware of paying attention to that direction, but None the Ghost was looking up this hillside and did see 3T Butts go prone behind that tree. So while 3T Butts is healing and looking deeper in towards Pochinki, he's about to get flanked by None the Ghost, who has good cover using this hillside. Scanning left and right. Just going to walk up cautiously. Now he's spotted him. He actually, I believe, got shot in the back from the other hillside, and then 3T Butts stands up and with that suppressed weapon finishes him off after a quick heal. It's a nice idea from None the Ghost, but couldn't quite get an angle on what he needed. And Ngoti and Noisyway have come out of the police tower now, crossing the road, heading towards Pochinki and taking a lot of damage, I believe, from Skoom inside that number 1 Pochinki lane, as he has managed to down him by the tractor. Meanwhile, 3T Butts would have seen those two, I'd imagine, from that hillside. Skoom's still aware that Young Bay and Suntouch are in number 2 Pochinki lane, but has to make his way across the street all the same, ready to catch them when they are forced out of the building by the next circle. What he doesn't know is that further down the street, there's some other less so friendly neighbours in Deadly Slob and Minder waiting as well. Meanwhile, Lost Aiming has an AWM on the north side of that field, holding by the barn. Ponyhoff's still on the top of the hillside with him, and those other squads coming across from the south.
If the next circle is more to the south, that's a perfect position to be in.
Yeah, holding it in. Top of the hillside has Moondai, Ponyhoff, Young Bay, and Skoom coming out of house. Young Bay will go down. Sometimes comes around with a shotgun in hand, and Skoom falls. He's expecting to come around on one on either side of the house, but they both came the same angle, and Skoom pays the price. It's unlucky, but when you lose your teammate that early on, the trade potential vanishes. Young Bay then finished off by Ngoti, but now on this southern hillside, these squads are starting to engage. Kailan Capacify waited too long on the bottom of the hill and are now running from the blue as they come up. Moondai loses his teammate and has to run towards the fields. Ponyhoff has started to move towards the white circle and is waiting there to receive these 2 and 3, in fact, as they come up the hillside. Moondai coming up one side, Ponyhoff prone behind this tree. Moondai is right next to him. Doesn't get the shot off in time, and now his position is known to not only Moondai, but also to the 2 to his left, Pasiphae and Kailank. Sees him behind the tree. He's looking for an opportunity. Moondai still focused on the other 2. I'm not sure Ponyhoff realizes these 2 are here, but it doesn't matter, as Moondai will finish him off all on his own with a silenced AKM headshot. 3 kills on him at the moment. Now, the top of the hill, Pasiphae and Kailank have had a little bit of time to heal up. They're healthy, but they're still lacking armor from the shots they took earlier on. Next circle is this side of the town. Everyone in Pochinki is going to have to make a move out. Lost Aiming still inside that barn with an AWM, but here comes Pasiphae and Kailank moving down the edge around the blue towards Moondai. They've got an angle on him. Do see his head, but can't finish him until... There we go. Kailank peeks over and finishes Moondai off just as he sprints around from the tree. They are in a very strong position now with the way the circle's coming and holding that blue. 3 players skirting around to the right side. 3T Butts has Ngoti and Noisy Boy coming up to his west. Everyone right on the edge right now. Lost Aiming and picked off Suntouched from inside the town. Pasiphae ready to sandwich 3T Butts now if they came up to meet him, but they aren't aware of Noisy Boy until just now when Pasiphae sees him, but he has a grenade in his hand. He throws it out towards the trees, throws it to the closest spot too as the second one as he switches back to 416. It blows up right on top of Noisy Boy and knocks him clean out, but his teammate Ngoti is here as well. Another grenade goes forward from Pasiphae. Goti's flanking around the other edge. There is good cover from Kailank behind, covering Pasiphae's grenade attempts. Pushing up as Ngoti turns to run to try and heal. Pasiphae turns to take a break from it and will have to spin back at the last second to finish him off after losing his own teammate. The blue is coming through. Kailank is knocked out, and Pasiphae knows he can't go for him. It's now Lost aiming inside this barn with an AWM. Septic Falcon running across the field towards him in the blind spot of Lost aiming with a M16. Pasiphae up on the hillside with a Kar 98. Septic Falcon playing the Bushwookie game, hiding outside. Pasiphae right on the edge of the blue on the top of that hillside. Lost aiming in the barn, which while it seems to be a strong position, only has very limited sight lines out of these windows. And he's looking out the wrong side to see Septic. Septic's got good cover from the hillside, but does have to push forward because of the next circle. This barn and this whole building isn't actually in the white zone for the next spot. They've got to go out towards these trees. Question is, who comes out first between Lost aiming and Septic? And do they know of the other one being there? I think Lost aiming heard Septic up this side of the barn because he's moved from where he was and is trying to have an angle down through that window. Septic, on the other hand, not... Yeah, there you go. You can see Lost aiming definitely knows Septic's down there. He's looking for him. Septic, on the other hand, may not be as aware of Lost aiming being upstairs. Pasiphae, meanwhile, is in the strongest position of all three up on that hillside, as he's got a good sightline across both of these two when they make themselves known. In 20 seconds time, that will have to happen. Lost aiming not only has to get out of that barn, he has to get down the stairs and through the doors too, so he has a little bit longer to get this done, so he needs to make sure he times the leave right. Pasiphae cautious about edging forward. Thinks there still may be someone around to his right hand side. He's just being cautious because of it. And then heads down towards the compound and towards these trees. That tree is right on the edge of the safe zone. The other two still inside. Septic Falcon right on the other side of that broken wall. Lost aiming, deciding now to hold by the door for the absolute last possible second. Here comes the blue. Out he comes. Septic Falcon is aware of it. The Kar 98 from the hillside shoots and misses. Lost aiming is up against the building. Septic's going to push straight for him and loses the fight. Lost aiming somehow wins that engagement and stays alive inside the circle. The next white circle is in his favor again now. Pasiphae has to come down further off the hillside to avoid the next blue. Lost aiming can continue to play by this wall. However, Pasiphae knows exactly where he is. Lost aiming is going to be using that third-person camera to scan around and can see him now. You can see he's trying to throw grenades up and over the edge to land it in the right spot. And there it is, the AWM for the final kill. Peeks up and over, steps a little way back into the blue. 7 kills. Nothing on his teammate Machine TV to pull that last one off. And it's a fantastic win for Lost aiming Machine there in the end. Lost aiming, against all odds, stuck in ultimately a poor position inside that last barn. Times his leave right, wins that 1v1 against Septic Falcon, and then uses that AWM to shut down Pasiphae in the last moment. Ah. It's an exciting third and final game. Yeah. How are you doing? To tell you who got the most kills throughout the course of those games. So, let me just make sure I'm double checking leading these out right, because I do not want to.
This is exciting. Okay.
Where'd it go? It's in here. All right.
I have it.
Third place for top kills in EU, Twitch.tv Kailank with 10 kills. Second place with also 10 kills, Lost aiming. First place with 12 kills.
I'm a little bit happy that he got the most kills because he has been one of the, you know, longtime supporters who supported us when no one knew about our game. Yep. And he streamed our game for a really long time and gave us so much good feedback, and he has really helped us polish our game in the first stage of alpha. So I'm personally a bit happy that he got the most kills. So the NVIDIA GTX 1080 Ti will go to
Hayes. And I know he's going to be very happy about that one because his other graphics cards recently just blew up on him. So
oh, really?
Yes, he's recently just had to replace all his graphics cards. So that's going very nicely.
That's great to hear. I'm so happy for him.
Yeah. But moving on now to our other victors. Now, while we do have prizes for 10th place through to the through to first.
Yes.
We will go and start at 5th place upwards and publish the rest later, just in the interest of time so we can keep on track for North America. So, in 5th place with 71 points, Lost Aiming and Machine TV. In 4th place with 78 points, Mahepawanga, I'm still very sorry for butchering your name, Mahepawanga and Moondai.
So those two teams will get the Astro gift pack and the hoodie.
Yes, hoodies, 2 hoodies for each player and an Astro gift pack as well. And in 3rd place with 81 points, in Goatee and Noisy Boy. In 2nd place with 82 points, these teams getting deluxe edition game codes and hoodies as well. In 2nd place with 82 points, Jam Jar and Scoom. And our winners with 88 points, despite not actually winning a single game outright, but having high placements in all 3 rounds. 88 points, Pacife TV and Kailank. So congratulations to them and everyone involved. So, with that done and wrapped up, we are going to go and reset and get everything ready for North America. Thank you so much for those of you that have been here for Europe so far. Let's have one last quick check at our donation total and see where it is we're going to round out this European show at with that number. I want to believe we've gone over that 50,000 mark. We were so very close, and you guys have been steadily streaming it in. We have broken over that 50,000. Thank you so much, European viewers and everyone that's been watching from early on in America, for making that happen. As another 100 rolled straight in. Thank you all so much for your support. We'll be back in just over half an hour and a half's time with the North American games. If you can stick around for those, thank you so much. If you are going to bed now in Europe, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great evening, and good luck with the rest of your weekend.
Don't go anywhere.